Good morning, guys. While I was looking through the internet for a good org chart for React, I couldn't really find one, so I thought it might be a good idea to build one. Usually, I don't like to reinvent the wheel, and you shouldn't unless it's just for fun or something. Um, but since it doesn't look like we have an org chart, we have a good excuse to build something new. So let's get into it. Um, So I just need to switch you guys over to the desktop view. There we go. So this is an example of sort of what I want to build. It's pretty generic. I'm building one specifically to view the prerequisite tree structure of like college courses. Um, so it would be like you would have like English 400 up here, and then English 301, English 302 as prerequisites of that, and then maybe as English as prerequisites of English 302, you've got 201, 202, and so forth. I can show you an example of what the API looks like. So you would hit the API with the like courses and fin, which is finance 480, and it would return to you an array of the. So you'd see the class number here at 480, and the subject is, you can't see it because it's below these prerequisites and prerequisites expanded. But fin 480 requires fin 303, 307, and 345 before you can take it in college. And so then we went through and expanded 307, and 307 requires 301. And then we expanded 301, and 301 expanded 201. So it's going to make a pretty cool like tree structure basically. And I want to show that as an org chart, I think. There's also like these file tree browsers that they have out there that might be interesting to use, but I think we're going to go with an org chart. So if you're new to the channel, this channel, we move at a pretty fast pace, pretty much at my full speed. And the goal is to show you how professional programmers work in the day-to-day and to like figure out how to do things, because we're not like, we don't have every single syntax memorized in the back of our heads. We've got Google open most of the time if we need to search something non-standard, which I'm sure we're going to do in this case. So you get to see how I problem solve. And really the goal is to help you become a better programmer and or to figure out if you want to program. So if you've got any questions, always feel free to ping me on YouTube. You can leave a comment in the videos. If you have a suggestion of a video, I would love to produce a video for you. So just leave a suggestion, and even better, leave like 3 suggestions so I can kind of pick 1 or 2 of the best ones out of the 3, because there's some topics that I don't want to cover. But yeah, I am here for you guys. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this video. Let's build this org chart. Oh, and subscribe if you like the content, obviously. So this is an example of an org chart that I tried to use. And it's a great looking org chart. It's like responsive. If we shrink this down, it looks nice on mobile devices, but it's unfortunately not what we wanted. It's not infinite, so we couldn't add child elements to this section A5. This is as far as it goes, as far as like recursion goes, and as we can see, our class is going pretty deep. 480 requires 307, which requires 301, which requires 201, and 202, which requires 201. That's interesting. And then also honors 124, so it goes pretty deep. I think it's like 4 or 5 levels of recursion, and this is only 1, 2, 3, 4, and it gets even more complicated sometimes. So with the course requirement structure. So I think what we need to do is build tables out for these. I don't know. It's pretty hard to visualize. I wish maybe we'll just pull up something, pull up the text edit to visualize this. So let's say we've got the course and we've got find 401. Is that what it is? Oh, and by the way, I posted a gist. Let me grab this. A gist of this course data is in the description of this video. So if you want to check it out and code along, you can use this for your purposes. And what I've done, so I've just I've gone into one of my old projects and I just copied it and pasted it and created a new project and just gutted one of the controllers in this React project so that we could just play around. There's no reason to start a new React project for this. I just wanted to reuse everything that had already been done in some previous episodes. So yeah, so let's visualize what we're going to do here. So our class, I'm going to open that just up in another tab so I can look at it. Our class Finance 480 depends on Finance 307 and 303 and Finance 345. And then we put like a line there and a line there. This is real rough. Don't judge me. And then this one, you would put like Finance 201. Oh, sorry, we need another line there. Finance 201, Finance 202. And then you would have some lines. Oh no. Here. We're going to try and make it look prettier than this, but you get the idea. So it's a tree structure. And it's recursive. So this could keep going down infinitely. Like this one could require English 101 or whatever. Right. So what do we need to do first? I think what we want to do is kind of like isolate. I want to call them like layers or something like that. Let's say this one relies on Finance 201. No. And the next one relies on honors. What was that honors class we saw in here? 125. So let's say that this is a possible example. It's not quite exact off of this chart. The chart there, or the gist that's been posted as part of this channel is actually a lot more complicated than this. I think, but this will give us something good to work from. So what do we know? So we know, and I think we could even use numbers to model this, but we know that we're going to have to create some kind of like table structure, and these are like kind of separate rows, I think we could call them. So this is row 1, this is row 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Skipped 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 rows in this org chart here, and it looks like we can divide it into columns too, which is interesting, but we need to go ahead and isolate these rows. So we need to see that these, even though our data structure is like recursive JSON saying that this depends on this and this depends on this and this, we need to kind of turn it into an iterable of rows of columns, I think, really. So let's actually go and model this in numbers. Yeah, just here is our spreadsheet. Can I zoom out? We need smaller. Zoom out. Okay, so that. Nope. Zoom is. So Command Shift. Yeah, there we go. Get some more cells here. Yeah, so let's do this real quick in Excel. So we've got fine. Oh god, that is too small though. Bummer. Alright, fine 480. And that requires fine 307, fine 303, fine 345. I'm doing this real quick. Fine 201, fine 202, or ignore the boldness there. This one requires English 101. Darn, that should really be there. We need a row in between each one to draw our lines. And then this one is going to be fine 201. This one's going to be honors 125. And these are on the same row. We have our rows here numbered for us now. Another thing, we don't need lines between these, I don't think. Oops. I don't think for now we need horizontal, or vertical columns in between our courses. So we'll leave that out for now. But you can see the lines being drawn right here, right? I think you would have like, it's weird because it's actually, I don't know if you'd have a line in the middle here. Or what? But we need to break this up into separate rows, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or potentially, so let's just shift that there. So we don't need to use that. So now we've got our numbers here on the left guiding us. Or possibly this is row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4, and somehow these are like kind of meta rows that aren't really numbered. I don't know. But the first thing I see us needing to do is we need to find the number of rows, and we need to find out what goes in each row, I think. I think we need to start printing at the bottom. We may need to start printing at the top. No, it's the bottom. And yeah, and then I think we need to figure out which row has the most number of columns, because that's going to determine the width of our org chart, and also it's going to determine the placement of the classes within. So let's get going here. I'm going to take we'll leave this up here. So let's jump in. I'm going to clear out this org chart that doesn't suit our purposes. I'm going to leave the div there. What is this? This is me trying to use another node charting library. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, let's put our gist in here. So we've got this gist, I'm copying it. This is valid JavaScript as it is for an array, and we're just going to name it. Let's put it, yeah, we'll put it right here, I guess. Course prerequisites. How about that? Yep. So now we've got that gist that's posted in the video below in the description and here, and this shows us these are all the courses and their prerequisites. So that's okay now. So now we need to figure out, we need a function that gets us the number of rows or whatever. So we need to convert prerequisite tree to rows. Yeah, that's going to take that array of courses. So it's going to be a function that takes an array of courses, and we're going to return something, hopefully, like this. What was it? 307, 303, 305. Something like this, right? Oh. And then this one would be like 5201, 522, 533, or whatever. And then so on and so forth. And to get this, we need to, so we know how to get that first one. The first is pretty easy. So we're going to do something like courses. Well, let's see. Let's just say row 1 is going to be courses. And we can see the structure of a course here. It's got a number and a subject. So courses at 0, the first course, which is going to be like the parent course, that's fine, 408. Subject plus number. And we might even just call it courses at 0. I don't think we need to convert these to strings. We can just leave it as our object. So we're going to call row 1 course 0. And eventually we'll map all these courses into this format of subject and course number. So let's then change our org chart node. That's going to be, so our org chart node is just going to represent one of these cells right here. This English 101 is a node in our org chart. So let's print out course subject, subject plus course number. There we go. And then our org chart for now. Org chart, we'll give it some rows. And how about we loop over rows. Rows. Map into right, something like that. And in here, in our main render, we are going to say we want to take this, oops, pass it through our convert prerequisite tree to rows. Comment that out for now. And we're going to return row 1 here. And we need to run our convert prerequisite tree to rows. And with that, we want to pass this rows prop. I think that's how that works maybe. Let's take a look at our chart here. Oh, it's broken. Oops, not that one. Okay, rows.map is not a function, it says. Maybe we don't need that. No. So this should be returning. Let's log out rows so we can see what the value of that is at that stage. And rows is an array of arrays, which is what we wanted, I think. I think it's not getting passed as a prop well here. Oh, you know what? Yeah. We need to do the, what do you call this? Argument destructuring or whatever this is. So this, this takes the value of the rows prop that we passed in and projects it onto this rows variable locally in this org chart. So that's important to do. And then we're going to need to do the same thing here. I think, maybe not actually, I think even better, yeah, we're going to have to. And then row nodes, I think we're going to want to do org chart node here, and oops, course is going to equal row I guess rows has multiple, so row is going to do there we go. So, and to get that to return, use that. Same with this. So now our org chart is going to have these rows, maybe. But we're not quite there because we need to print those out. There we go. There is our first row here. This is an org chart node. And let's add a little bit of styling, at least for now. So we're just going to call, this node, I guess. Maybe we'll namespace it org chart node. Now we'll call it node. And in our org chart.css file, we're just going to put a border around for now, so that we can see clearly that that is our org chart. And there it is. So yeah, so this is our first node, and now we need to go and create the second row. Now we need to be able to create an infinite amount of rows, so we need some kind of like function that calls itself, probably recursive function. Let's see. So how would we derive row 2 from our data set? So if we look at row 2, so 480 requires 303, 307, and 345. So that is our row 2. That's our row 2. So what do we just call? I guess we just get prerequisites expanded. Maybe. Yeah. Right. We're gonna give this a shot. Oh, we need to like flat map it though, basically. So for each of the, well, we'll get to that in the next section. So row 2 is going to be row, I guess courses at 0 maybe, and this is prerequisites expanded here. And that should get us our second row, maybe. Ooh. No. Oh, what does this gist look like? Did I have an extra level of array here? Yeah, see this? I messed up on the gist. I think maybe we've got an extra level of array we don't need here. Oh, no, actually we do, because it's an array of courses that endpoint returns, so that makes sense. So I guess we should probably name that const our parent course. Yeah, okay, so no, we're gonna pass in a parent course. And our first row is going to be an array of just that parent course. Yeah, we'll do this. Each row is an array of courses, and we will call that one row 1. And we need to pass this something different. Down here we were passing it all of the courses that come from our gist. We just want to pass in the first course because we're using this endpoint which returns multiple courses, and we want to only use the first one. It's a little strange, maybe. Courses is not defined. What line is that? Line 309. So I'm going to jump to line 309. And yep, that makes sense. So row 2, let's get on to that then. Row 2 is going to be parent course, prerequisites expanded. I'm pretty sure that is it. So let's see what this looks like if we run it. No, not quite. So 1 is an array of arrays. Maybe we have too many levels of arrays here. Let's throw a debugger in here. So now our breakpoints, we've got a breakpoint here so we can see what's going on. Let's see what that parent course looks like. Parent course is an array of objects. Yeah, see, we're still not passing the right thing here. Maybe this shouldn't be an array of arrays, it should just be an array. Yeah, we do. We do have one too many levels of arrays in our gist here. I'm going to update that right now so as to like eliminate a little bit of confusion for some of you guys maybe. So that's deleted. Okay, better. And then we just need to return that first one. Okay, unexpected token at 349. Alright, so let's see what parent course looks like now. And we do have, alright, what looks to be correct values in there. Nice. Alright, so we're getting better here. However, row 2, it's not an array. Like if we got rid of this and just returned prerequisites expanded, that would be okay, and we would see our prerequisites here. Yeah, see, there they are. I do think, I think to make this more clear, for now, we should make this node object display inline block so that they don't take up a new line for each node. And I think we also need to introduce a concept of node row. No, we don't need to yet. We can just wrap the row in a div. So we'll do that. Let's see if we can do this. Let's see how this is. Uh-oh, course is not defined. How do I do that? Maybe. Yeah, okay, cool. And let's just put some margin around those nodes for sanity's sake. Alright, cool. So yeah, we've got our nodes here. So this is our first row, this is our second row. And so we're looking good here. So like I said, so we had to flatten what's called flatten this row 2. Intuitively, it should be an array, or I mean, we'll see for row 3, we're going to do some kind of flat map. But we got rid of these. For row 3, and I think we're going to be able to use the same function for row 2, and 4 and 5 and so on. We need to take our row 2 classes and we need to get their row courses. So there's a bunch of courses in row 2, and we need to get their prerequisites expanded. But this is going to be an array of arrays of courses, and we want to, and I'll show you what that looks like actually. Let's log that out. Is there a debug? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so because so our array, it looks like only 2 of them have prerequisites maybe. So you can see, because there's an empty array and then there's one array with only one class, and that is 480. Oh, that's not right though. what is this here? Let's see, where are we logging all this? I think maybe console debug doesn't work. And I will keep this. Let's change this to console. Warren, so we can see it maybe. I'm going to comment out this debugger. I don't think we need it anymore. Yeah, so that array that we created by mapping over row 2's prerequisites, or row 2's courses, and mapping to the prerequisites, we get an array of 3 because there's 3 courses in row 2. So we need to, I mean, we can take a look and we can see that, yeah, this is right. So 301 should be 301. It's 301 again. Let's collapse this. And that. And that. It's an array of 1. I think this is slightly off, maybe. It's being used somewhere else? No. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. Oh, it's our console warn. That's what, yeah, it should be this one, huh? Yeah. So we can see our prerequisites. We can see find 301 here. It's not mapping quite right though. Row 3 is row 2 dot map, and we should be mapping to their prerequisites expanded. So like a row 2 item would be this, and it has these prerequisites. I don't know. Anyways, though, what it is, it's an array of arrays, and we want to flatten this down so that it's just an array of the courses for that whole row. Let me show you. So the format of this would look something like Finance 201. So that would be for the first course in row 2. Those would be the prerequisites, and then you would have, you know, honors 124 or whatever, English 102 for the next row, and then you would have maybe like Finance 300 for the third column or the third course in that row. But what we need is a flat array just containing these courses like that. And what the function used to create something like this is called flatten, typically. And I don't know how to do this in JavaScript. There's like flat map in a lot of languages. Hopefully we don't have to implement our own function. Let's see, ES6 flatten. Yeah, looks like we might need to, or we could reduce, flatten an array of arrays. This is what we want, I guess. So we can use this. I'm going to create a function here called flatten. I'm sure ES6 is going to implement this eventually, or whatever. I mean, it's going to exist. But we're going to return, and this is going to be our supplied array. So we're going to pass it an array. And what it does is it reduces over array. See how this is the same structure? It's an array of arrays like this. We're going to pass that in, and it's going to flatten it. So we're going to pass in the array. It's going to reduce over it. It's going to take each of them and just concatenate them in the same order. And it's going to start with an empty array. And that should do it. So we're just going to run flatten on that map function, and let's see what this gives us. It's not quite right, is it? Maybe it is. Do we put, oh, and now we just throw row 3 in here in our rows. Hey, there we go. Do they really all only require a find 301 though? Maybe they do. Oh, I don't know. So 307 requires 301. Oops. Let's see what 303 requires. Just 301. And 345 requires just 301. Okay, so this actually worked just fine because these Finance 307 only requires you to take 301. Same for 303 and 345. So that's why these are all the same. I thought initially we had a bug here, but it actually turns out that we are right. So that's good. What is next? I guess we do row 4. And row 4 is going to look pretty, it's going to look the same everywhere, I guess, because we've now gone down to the same, these are all the same courses. So here we go. So let's start by creating row 4. And we are going to do, I think, the same exact thing here for row 4 as we did for row 3. So if this works, we're going to be able to reuse this function. And I'm going to show you how we're going to reuse this function for row 2 as well, I think. There it is. Look at that. That is our row 2, and that's because Finance 301 takes 3 classes to complete. We can see that for here and here as well. So it looks like we've created our rows at the very least. Let's go back and clean this up so that we can use this function. So we need to do, let's see, so this needs to be a recursive function, I think. Maybe. So what I want to show you is that we can wrap this in flatten right here. Because flattening an already flat array doesn't do anything. It doesn't affect anything. And I think what we can do is we can call row1.map. I think we can call the exact same function here actually. Flatten just on row 1, and that should give us the same results, I think. There it is. These are our second level classes. And now we just need to, so I think row 1 is a case that we might not be able to, use the same method. I suppose we could like flatten this, but we're not going to. So, so this is where it gets fun. So we've got this function, right? We know that if we run this block of code, create row from parent row, parent row, and instead of taking row 3, we do parent row. So we know that we can use this create row from parent row on the previous row, and that will, oops, not, oh, turn that. And that will give us the same results. So we can go ahead and just call this function now. Simplifies this a bit. is a. But now we need to create some kind of function that does this recursively. We need to make our function call itself or something. I don't know. So we can do this. So how about this? So we could do const row equals that, and we're going to return the row. And we're going to say if row, we want to basically see if any course in the row has prerequisites, call this again. So if row, and row is an array of courses, find course.prerequisites expanded dot length is greater than 0. So if we find one, let's put this comment in here for clarity. We need to call ourselves again. And let's see. Now we just need to return row. We don't want to concat them together. We want to push them or something. I don't know. We want rows. Rows is going to be like that. It's going to be an array initially. And this is where it gets funky. Yeah, let's see. So this needs to return an array of arrays. Like it needs to be formatted correctly already. How do you merge? We don't want to merge. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Yeah, I want to see what this does here. So let's throw a debugger in there and see what row 2 is going to look like at this point. So row 2, but row 2, these are being cast as strings. So I think maybe it's like that dot concat those or something like that. Let's see what row 2 looks like now. It's getting somewhere. I think that is a, other than, I don't know what this stuff is at the end here. I think that got a little messed up. I think we're pretty close to our format. I don't know why these are coming in. Because you can see like every single course or something. Oh, is this just the last? Yeah, I think everything was right until the last row. Oh no, everything is right, except we added these for some reason. So if course prerequisites dot length is greater than 0, we're going to call it again. Otherwise, we're going to return row as an array, maybe. Oops. What does row 2 look like? Oops. There we go. It's an array. We've got this. The last array looks a little weird. This one looks right. These are our second level. This is our first level. I don't know where this this is coming from. The last row. Maybe it's right though. So I think what we need to do is take our first row and concatenate it with the rest of the rows. And I think that our function works now, maybe. We need to confirm that. Let's see what happens here. Row 1 is not defined. Oh. So row 1's a special case. It doesn't work the same way as the others because row 1's, I think row 1 only has one, maybe it is the same. I don't know. Row 1 only has one set of prerequisites. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to say. Anyways, let's see where. So this created another row that we didn't think of before. Let's see why. I want to see. Oh, this is a separate class, honors 124. Look at that. I think maybe the thing works better even than our manual run went because these classes I don't think we accounted for, and I think maybe 202 is going to require these two classes. So let's go see where honors 124 falls. This honors 124 and accounting 201 and what is that? Financial accounting 201. It's saying 301 requires that you use 125. 125 is 124. So 125 requires 124, and 202 requires 201. So that's why it's printing these out below. Okay, cool. So even though Finance 301 requires 201 and 202 and 125, 202 you still need to do 201 to get, so you can take 202. And then 124 is required to take 125, so that explains it. So we've got our rows printed out just fine. Now we need to find a way to line these up, and this is going to be another interesting part. So let's clean up our function. Get rid of this. This thing works perfectly. I'm trying to think if we need to, or if we could simplify this. I don't know that we can. Create, we can rename this function though. This function's not named well. Create child rows from parent row. So it's going to create all the rows, create all rows below the supplied row. I think actually Yeah, I think we might be able to just call the function with the parent course as an array, because the first row is just going to be an array of the parent course. I think that might work. Forgot to rename that there. So we don't see our first. We don't see the parent row. Oh yeah, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Yeah, I gotta go back here. Backpedal a little bit. Yeah, I guess this is pretty good. Cool. So yeah, so we printed out our rows. This is a pretty good start. Now we need to line everything up. And I think to do this, we can use tables, maybe. I think the width of the chart is going to be entirely dependent on... Actually, I don't know. I guess the width of the biggest tree. Something like that. It's a pretty weird problem. Let's see. Can we... No. Well, we know what the first one needs to look like, right? Sort of. We want to put this in the middle of these. So we can do that, maybe. Let's take a look at CSS tables. How do we do this? Complete guide to the table elements, pure CSS tables. Yeah. So there's not much to this except let's see, so our org chart is right here, the rows. Let's call this org chart. And org chart we will put a border around it so we can see it. And then for each of our rows, org chart row, put a border around that. And make that a little darker so you can see that. What's this look like here? And we'll put like a little bit of margin around them. So now we can see our rows clearly. Let's also put a little bit of padding on the nodes. There we go, looks nicer, easier to work with now. So now, so for each of these, so I think for each of the parent elements, we need to create one table in the child, or in the second row. And we're going to experiment with this. We're going to do org chart row. Org chart node group. This is going to be so weird. Ooh, we flattened everything already. Maybe we didn't want to flatten them. Instead, we wanted to print out these org node chart groups. We'll see. But our node group would be, we would do this basically. Yeah, so we're gonna try, where do we do this flatten here? Is this the only place? Yep, we're not going to flatten this anymore, so this is going to be a little different, the structure of everything. And then, so this, instead of being rows, well, it's still going to be rows, I guess, but it's going to be rows of, it's going to be row, and a row is going to have a row group here, or a node group. So node group, this is what we'll do. Org chart node group. Now it's going to take node group, and each of those is going to be a course. This row, we're going to be mapping over rows, and each of these is going to have a node group. Node group. This is getting complicated here. Why is this complaining here? All right, let's see if this compiles still. That'd be great. Does it? Okay. Okay, so I think we're just going to use our flatten and our recursive function here to check if flatten row. So we're just going to look through all the courses in that row, see if there's any prerequisites maybe. Let's see here. Can I read property prerequisites expanded of undefined? So row has an undefined value in it somewhere. So here row is an array of 3 arrays, 3 groups. But but then the second time does not have that. So parent row looks like that. And then we would map parent row to the prerequisites expanded, but for some reason it's undefined. Weird. Maybe we don't need this anymore. We don't need this array wrapper around the whole thing. It looks like there are too many levels of arrays. Let's see what a row looks like now. It's an array of 3 well, objects. Not quite, huh? Nope. Did not do it. This is pretty weird. Let's see, row is now. So maybe we need to map this into an array here. Maybe that's what I'm missing. So now the parent course's array would be it's an array of 1. Yeah. Row be an array flatten row look like an array of an array of 3. Maybe we need to flatten. Flatten that. Where does that sounds? No wonder there's not a library out for this. It's pretty confusing. Conceptually, let's see what row looks like now. I'm not sure about that one. Nope. Okay. Oh, I think we need to, let's see, so we got our parent row, which is a an array of node groups. And what this really is row node groups, right? So that's the intention. And what we need to do is map over each of the node groups. Map. That might help a bit. Let's see though. Maybe return that. Row node groups.map is not function. Parent row. So it's going to be a row like that. One node group. Let's see. Parent row is 0. Is a course. And I think it should be an array. Should be an array of groups, I think, maybe. Alright, so that's an array of arrays now. Hey, okay, we got something. Cannot read property length of undefined. Okay, so we're getting a little better now. So I think the thing is that when we flatten this, I think we need to flatten row here, because we're flattening row, which is a bunch of node groups. Well, it looks like we're getting some recursion here. Can't read property prerequisites undefined. Well, let's see. I don't really like this way of doing it. Kind of liked how we were just building rows before. Let's see if we can find a way around doing this node group concept in here at least. Let's see. Back. Yeah. Okay, so we're back here to rows. We gave that a shot, making node groups. What if, so this would be a group, this would be a group, right? A group of 1, which should stretch the whole thing and center this in the middle. This would be a group of 3, which would stretch the whole thing and have, you know, 1 here centered in this table cell, 1 here centered in this table cell, 1 here centered in this table cell. and then these would be right below them. So what does it need to know? They need to know how big their parent takes up. So this would be take up a full thing, right? So what if we just knew the parent row count here and the position of the group? So what if we did something like, so first we made these rows an object. So a row we need to map this to an object, and we're going to call it courses. Courses is going to be R. And then we're going to do parent row size. And that's going to be parent row parent row, how about this? Parent row prerequisites. And let's just get something going here. So we'll call that parent row. I think we need to flatten parent row. Let's just get length. So all the length. Well, we kind of already know that by just the length of the row. But anyways, so, and then when we did pass in row, and wherever we use row, courses.map. Let's see if this compiles. It's complaining, can't read property length undefined. And that is because when we do row.find, maybe that to fix. Oh, row.courses. Oh no, what we need to do is row.courses.find, and if there's any courses in that row, I don't know. I think this is a good breaking point. I think maybe we'll just stop. We'll stop at printing out the rows. We still need to draw the lines in between the rows and align things properly. This is good for now. So we could see right here, we have numbered rows. Let's just print out. Let's see. I think that's how it works. Index. I think we need to pass something like that, maybe. We need to pass a key just for React. Org chart node takes a course index. And I don't know, we don't need to do that. I probably want our row to have an index. Yeah, I'm going to get wrapping this up soon here. I just want to print out an index with each of our rows. See how that looks. Key prop, yeah. Check the word chart. How do you do map with index? Prototype.map, and map is a function index. Oh, is it the third argument? No, it's the second one. There we go. So now we've got the index of the row, at least here. Now we're going to figure out how to print out the size of the groups later. So thanks for watching, guys. If you're enjoying this, which there will be a part 2 for this soon, please subscribe below. Give me some feedback on what you liked, what you didn't like. If you feel like it, that would be great. Most of all, have a great day. Thanks for watching, guys.